college football this past weekend and tied into some of the games that we have coming up this weekend. What's the best game on the schedule that we have this week? Would it be the Georgia game against Tennessee? Is it Washington against Oregon State?
Yes, Washington, Oregon State.
That's the most meaningful game, I think, on the schedule, because I don't think Tennessee's going to give Georgia much of a run at all in that game.
I doubt it, too, plus after how bad they looked against Missouri.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, Missouri's good.
Great story, yeah.
It really is.
The Schrader kid is a D2. He was a walk-on at the D2 school. Huh, what a story.
Mm-hmm.
200 rushing, 100 receiving. The guy was a walk-on at D2, and now he comes in, and a big reason why they're 10. And they could have won that LSU game. And maybe and they gave Georgia at least a game, only lost by 9. Great job by Drink.
How about some look-ahead numbers, Paulie?
Yep.
To next week.
You don't think Tennessee can hang, do you?
No, I think Georgia blows
Too
them
good.
out.
Yeah, they've been great.
I think Georgia now, the way Beck is playing, that offensive line, he talked about it afterwards in the post-game interview on the field. He's like, I don't even think I got touched this game. They did a great job against Ole Miss. Now, Alabama's defense is a different story on that side of the ball, but there is a look-ahead number to the SEC title game, and Alabama is a 5-point dog in that game to Georgia.
Yep.
I just think that we need Georgia to beat Alabama. Yeah, otherwise Alabama, they talk about them getting in. What do you want to do with Texas now after they almost gave away another game and lost their best running back now for the season?
Yep. I'm going to have to change my mind on the Alabama-Texas thing. Texas continues to screw around every week and blow 20-point leads. Sorry, you're not a playoff team if you keep blowing 20-point leads and you can't put someone away, and you're not playing great teams anyways. And that game was week 2. Which, okay, head-to-head, but Alabama looks like a completely different team.
Yes.
Now that Milroe was playing like this, and they're burying people. Well, once again, typical Kentucky. You play no one, beat Florida, and everyone's buying the hype, and then you get routed in every other game. But certainly Alabama looks great, and Texas is struggling to the finish line and should have lost to Kansas State.
Yeah.
Which I know you didn't have your quarterback, okay. But first things first, they have to get there. Texas has to get there in the clubhouse at 12-1.
Agreed.
And we'll see. But I would have Oregon ahead of them, and I would have Alabama ahead of them in the pecking order.
Okay. As far as the Heisman Trophy goes, I think it's a great race. It's still open. It feels to me like, and this is like a thing that you can almost predict to happen in college football because it's difficult for a West Coast player to win it. It feels to me, despite the numbers that Nix continues to put up, and what Penix has done the entire year, it feels to me like there's this push coming on, like we can't give it to either one of those guys. It feels to me like people are really pushing again, and Daniels was awesome. And if he doesn't get hurt, I don't know, maybe they beat Alabama. Probably not, but maybe they do.
No.
So they have 3 losses on the year. Is this going to be the RG3 year then, where they don't even make the SEC title game and the guy wins the Heisman Trophy?
I think Louisville lost 3 with Lamar Jackson as well.
I think you're right.
So maybe that is in play here. But I still think whoever wins the Pac-12, assuming that's 12-1 or undefeated Washington, the quarterback from that team will get it, just because of LSU could be out of sight, out of mind here.
Yeah.
With what's happened, and he was awesome again. But I think it's going to look what Nix and Penix are doing every single week.
Every week, yep. That has to count for something. And I'm sorry when there's this history now. And I hate this award. I hate what it's turned into for 2 decades. They have given it to the best player on the best team so many times, which drives me nuts.
Well, how about Harrison, though? He had a hat trick again.
That's the thing, right?
I mean, I don't think Harrison's out of this.
He is not, Paul, because, and by the way, they're like a 5.5-point dog to Michigan in a couple of weeks. If they win that game and play in the Big Ten title game, Harrison can still win this thing. He absolutely can.
And I can't wait to talk to Lombardi about what does this mean for Michigan without Harbaugh? You can have them all week, but you can't have them game day on the sideline.
Right.
What's that worth? What does that mean? And what does it mean for the other coaches, who aren't crying like their dog just passed away? Unbelievable how they acted after that game, but more on that coming up. But that's sure. I think Harrison's still in the mix. And but the thing with there's been too much Williams bashing because LSU and USC are the same team. The amount of pressure that those 2 guys are on, knowing I have to score almost every possession because my defense is that bad.
Well,
so it's.
I would also say this: what is Washington's record if Michael Penix is not their quarterback?
Yeah.
Do they have 5 wins?
Yeah.
The defense is that bad. So I don't think they're going to be overcoming that with a lot of quarterbacks in the country, and I think Penix deserves a lot of credit for that, and along with his numbers being outstanding as well. So I asked Matt Lindemann, assistant director of trading at WinBet for look-ahead numbers to next week. This is actually on the board right now. Michigan is a 5.5-point favorite against Ohio State. He makes them about 4.7 points in that game. Would you have? It was 7. It was 7 2 weeks ago.
I thought that. Yeah. Well, how scared off are you by the Harbaugh stuff and how bad McCarthy looked? They don't even try to run the ball.
Throw the ball.
Excuse me, throw the ball. Thank you. I mean, that was just. Come on now. Stop with the first round talk and stop with the Heisman talk when you run it 32 times in a row.
Yep.
He had like 50 yards passing late in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
How about this? Oregon State at Oregon, Civil War. He made the Ducks 12.
Wow. Oh, the respect. Washington just has to get this one Saturday because they'll beat Washington State at home
yes, they
in
will.
the Apple Cup. So that'll be 12-0 against 11-1 out here Friday night for all the marbles. We just got to get Washington to get this game against Corvallis, and it's been tough. You know, it's a USC game, Utah game. You had Oregon in the middle there with a couple cupcakes, which you had the letdown, but survived against Arizona State and Stanford. But we need that here, and it's a tough place to play in Corvallis. But that is a lot of respect for Oregon, and certainly tough to play. But to lay 12,
well,
Oregon State might have 9 wins coming into that game.
Well, that tells you about their power rating, right?
Yeah.
And if they make the playoff, Oregon, Brad Powers last week on the show, Professional Sports Bettor, has Oregon power rated number 2 in the country, right? So, I mean, like, what are they?
This is a good team, though.
We're talking about Oregon against Michigan. Yeah. Michigan might be 1. Oregon might be, some people would have them favored over Georgia.
Right. Well, look at the losses, though, by the Beavers. They lost by 3 at Arizona. The ridiculous fake field goal before halftime came back to bite them. And they lost in Pullman by 3.
Yep.
So they're sitting there right there. They should be undefeated.
I was at this game last year at Husky Stadium, and Washington could not put Oregon State away. They played them tough the entire time for 3 hours. That guy's a really good coach. This Oregon State team is much better than last year. And I had to bet the Beavers yesterday +1 when the number first came out. Had to do it. Matt Lindeman at WinBet makes Florida State about a 10-point favorite at Florida next week. He makes Alabama about 9.5 at Auburn. And then here you go, Paulie, in the mother of all college football totals, Iowa at Nebraska. If you haven't looked yet, guess what he makes the total? His number's here.
Go ahead.
22.7.
Oh my God. Well, again, I just said I had it in a win-lose. The 5 lowest totals in the last 30 years have all been Iowa games, but they've all stayed under. So it goes back to I would do it. I would put it up and dare people to bet the over.
Put up 22.5?
Put up 23 and see what. Why not? I mean, you're putting up 27s and 28s and they can't get over. So I'd put it up there.
Oh my!
Well, you're right. We had shenanigans in the second half and it almost got there, but still 22-0. So
you know what?
I can't believe they don't run the old man out of town. They finally got the son out of there. You have an all-time great defense, and it looks like this.
He's got a lifetime contract.
It's a joke.
I want to sit here and tell you that we're never going to see this again.
Enjoy the Outback Bowl.
But Ferentz is going to come back again next year. So we're going to get a carbon copy probably.
It's ridiculous.
It keeps going like this. It keeps going downhill and getting worse every year.
What is this league going to look like now? Because you have these teams that cannot score, right? They couldn't score with Jenna Jameson. But then you have Washington and Oregon and USC coming in, and then USC and Washington have these great offenses and quarterbacks, and they can't stop anybody. Yeah. So it's like, is Iowa going to finally be able to move the ball, or what?
You might want to get with the times. That's 20 years old.
Jenna?
Yes.
Still fresh. Still fresh.
Oh, it's far from fresh.
The look. Okay, the look, Brett. She got some fans. Okay. Yeah, but that's I'm with Lindemann. See, put up a 23 and dare people to bet it.
What would you need to bet over? You would not bet over 22.5?
No.
Nebraska just played a 13-10 game.
No.
You know, Nebraska plays Wisconsin this weekend.
Are we going to get weather, too? It's Black Friday in Nebraska. I want to see what the weather is, too. Go ahead.
Let's hope so. I went to bet Nebraska, Wisconsin under 39.5. That was the opening at Circa. Again, these numbers move so fast. As soon as I went to bet it moved to like 37. I'm like, too late on that one.
Yep.
So, but 22, what's a realistic number they will open at? I think they can open this thing 27 or below.
This is madness. Absolute madness what's going on here with these totals and with this Iowa story.
Will you watch all 3 hours of Iowa and Nebraska?
No, I'm up against it. Because you have We have the Jets play. I'll be involved, hopefully, in Survivor. Jets, Dolphins. Civil War's later on.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Actually, I will. It's an early game. I'll be watching it. If it doesn't go against Miami and the Jets, I'll be all in. Mississippi State just fired their coach. Man, it's safe. The guy was one and done.
Yeah.
Arnett's gone. They're going so he's gone. The Boise coach was fired. The Penn State OC, and they got rid of Jimbo. All in less than 24 hours here. Dropping like flies in college football.
That they are.
Well, you lose to Jimbo 51-10. I think that'll do it with that A&M offense.
How about the timing for that? Surprising at all to you? They win. They score 51 points. They win.
Well, no, it was pretty much done.
It was gonna. I know.
They just had to make sure they were talking with the money and.
Who would you bet to replace him? I mean, this is like
everyone's in play.
It's
with that
all
money.
over the map.
Yeah. Also, it's a desperate fan base. They think they want to. They think they're contenders.
They could throw $15 million at Urban Meyer if they wanted to.
Sure.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.